This is Jane Margesson, Communications Director with AARP Maine, and I am here today with Captain Jonathan Bratten from the Maine National Guard. He's a military historian. And Captain Bratten, we've been speaking today about a number of things to do with Veterans Day and honoring veterans really across the country. But we also wanted to talk about this incredible connection that was discovered about the state of Maine and the Passamaquoddy Tribe and those who served. And I wondered if you could please speak about that today.
Of course. In the documentary Americans Underground Secret Cities of World War I, we find traces of the Passamaquoddy heritage and culture in these underground quarries in France left from World War I. Now, the Passamaquoddy Nation goes back to, or its alliance, so to speak, or its friendship with the United States military goes back to the American Revolution, when George Washington himself sent a letter to the Passamaquoddy asking for their assistance in coming to the aid of this new nation to fight the British, and they did. And they have been together with the United States ever since. There have been Passamaquoddy serving in every single war. Now, by the time of World War I, by 1917, when the U.S. enters the war, the Passamaquoddy were not U.S. citizens, nor were they Maine citizens. They did not have the same rights to vote in state and national elections as the rest of the populace, nor did they have an obligation to serve. But within just a matter of months after the declaration of war on April 6, 1917, you would see 32 members of the Passamaquoddy Nation enlisting voluntarily into the United States Armed Forces. 9 of those would enlist in Company I of what was then the 2nd Maine Infantry of the Maine National Guard in Eastport, which is right near Pleasant Point, where the Passamaquoddy Nation is. And of those 9, one of which included the chief's son, of those 9, they would all see service in France with the 2nd Maine, which would become to be known as the 103rd U.S. Infantry Regiment. They'd be on the front lines from February to November of 1918. And of those 9 individuals, 2 would make the ultimate sacrifice, 4 would be wounded, and the chief's son, Moses Neptune, was actually killed on the last full day of the conflict of November 10th, 1918, in an endeavor to take a specific hill. So a really incredible story of patriotism, bravery, and selfless service coming from a people who, of course, the United States has had very difficult relations with Native peoples, and to see this type of a story is humbling, honestly, to look at that and see the type of courage it took for these young men to make that decision to voluntarily serve. And it's a huge honor to be able to tell their story and to get that out to the people of the United States.
And then posthumously, you were able to be part of a ceremony to finally honor these individuals. Can you tell us a bit about that too?
Yes, we didn't know that when the Passamaquoddy, these Passamaquoddy warriors, when they returned to Maine after World War I, they were not given any type of recognition. And in a very absolutely moving ceremony in 2016, working with the Maine National Guard and the Maine Bureau of Veteran Services, we were able to present the families of these service members the gold and silver star medals for service, which are presented to the families of those who have been killed in action or wounded in action. And there were children of these veterans present, and it was just a really incredible moment to try to make amends for things left undone, and to remember and honor their sacrifice, which is something that we need to continue doing, not only this centennial year of World War I, but going forward as we work with veterans and as we work especially with Native veterans.
And you work directly with the Passamaquoddy historian, is that right, to sort of bring this whole piece together?
Yes, Donald Soktama is the Passamaquoddy historian. There's a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he has letters from the soldiers, and he just knows so much about the nation, and it was really incredible to have worked with him and to see how much of the story that he had, and then we sort of pieced our two sides together and we were able to create a whole.
Amazing. Well, it's an honor to sit with you and talk about this, so I can only imagine what it was like to actually be there and meet the families and finally acknowledge the sacrifice they had all really made in working to, make the world a better place. So thank you again very much for your time and for all you've done to bring this to light.
Well, thank you so much.
It's so important. Thank you. Oops.